Zhang Yi, realizing his little maneuver had been spotted, replied with an utterly calm expression, "Look at you, getting worked up again. When did I ever say I'd keep it all for myself? I'm just holding on to it for everyone for now." After a mutant's demise, if their body isn't swiftly sealed, their origin gradually dissipates into the heavens and earth. Though Zhang Yi coveted the Black Bishop-level origin, he wasn't foolish enough to antagonize everyone. He was a man of principle. This battle had drawn immense effort from all major regions of Huashu Kingdom, including other nations. Zhang Yi wasn't foolish enough to betray such trust. The Great War has just ended. I expect all major regions and allied mutants suffered significant losses. We should prioritize recuperation first. Rest assured, I won't hoard this origin for myself. But what rightfully belongs to me won't be shortchanged. Zhang Yi thought to himself. After all, the source was in his hands. How it would be distributed ultimately depended on his approval. Though everyone rolled their eyes at Zhang Yi's attitude, now was certainly not the time for conflict. Their injuries were too severe. Especially Alexei, he'd taken a direct hit from that Black Bishop's attack head-on. If not for his robust constitution, he likely wouldn't have held out this long. Even with the medication injected, his massive frame collapsed like a mountain before the stunned gazes of the others. Shang Daowen immediately ordered, "Chaos, transport everyone to Blizzard City for treatment immediately." At this moment, Heavenly Jet Star Daisheng had been knocked unconscious, unable to teleport everyone. They could only rely on Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi nodded, but first released everyone trapped within the shadow space. After landing, the group gazed upon Tianhai City, now reduced to utter desolation. Their eyes brimmed with inexpressible sorrow. After all, this place held too many of their memories. Who could have imagined this battle would erase the city entirely? How could they not be devastated? Shou Qi, however, didn't dwell on sorrow. She rushed to Zhang Yi's side first, urgently pressing both hands against his chest. Everything that had just happened, they had actually witnessed clearly within Muyan's shadow space. When Zhang Yi's chest was pierced by the Hades gatekeeper's chains, Shou Qi's face drained of color. She gazed at him with concern, her hands continuously releasing a luminous white supernatural. Using her doctor ability, she worked to repair his body. Zhang Yi looked down at the wound in his chest, a wave of dread washing over him. That strike had stunned even him. Had the Hades gatekeeper harbored no ulterior motives and chosen to kill him outright, Zhang Yi would now be reduced to dust like Zhong Yue. The sheer chasm between their powers was staggering. The ability to resist the impact of the Reaper of Love through Void World departure proved powerless against the capabilities of a higher-tier space ability mutant. After this battle, Zhang Yi's heart held even more reverence for this world. Indeed, this world was far too dangerous. He would have to be more cautious from now on. Meanwhile, his family members had gathered around him, their faces filled with concern. "Brother, are you okay?" "Zhang Yi, I'm truly sorry I couldn't help you this time." Some expressed heartache, others concern, while a few wore expressions of shame. Uncle Yu, a burly middle-aged man, hung his head in embarrassment. He clenched his fists silently, his eyes filled with unwillingness. After the apocalypse, as time passed, the gap in strength between them and Zhang Yi grew ever wider. This gradually made Uncle Yu feel increasingly inadequate. He constantly tried to keep up with Zhang Yi, longing to at least offer some small assistance. Yet on the real battlefield, he remained the one who needed Zhang Yi's protection. Zhang Yi smiled faintly, saying indifferently, "Everyone is like a screw. You need to be in the right place to function properly. Don't feel bad about it. Just focus on doing your best in other areas from now on." Not everyone around him was exceptionally gifted. But so what? They were all companions who had journeyed alongside Zhang Yi. Who said only the strongest were worthy of staying by the protagonist's side? More than that, what Zhang Yi needed now was family. Only companions like Uncle Yu, who had weathered the harshest storms, could earn his trust. "Hold your tongue for now. Let me tend your wound." Shou Qi pouted as she muttered. The gash piercing Zhang Yi's chest looked terrifyingly deep. In reality, his combat suit had already auto-injected medication. It looked scary but wasn't life-threatening. Yan Xia quickly pulled out some supernatural food. Zhang Yi, eat this rice ball. It'll restore your stamina. Alright, alright. Zhang Yi looked at the people showing him concern, and warmth welled up inside him. The desolation that had followed Tianhai City's destruction now faded away. Yes, as long as they remained, Tianhai City would endure. The shelter was stored within his dimensional space, along with the vast majority of Tianhai City's strategic resources. Given sufficient time and manpower, restoring Tianhai City to its former state, or even surpassing it, was entirely achievable. Hey, hey, hey! Big bro! Stop showing off your lovey-dovey stuff and tend to the wounded here, will ya? Seeing Zhang Yi surrounded by a crowd, Li Changgong couldn't help but complain. They were all injured, after all. Ah, sorry. Zhang Yi's physical injuries healed quickly. Among the group, his wounds were the least severe. Zhang Yi instructed Zhou Qi to first provide basic treatment to Alexei and the others. Their injuries were severe, and it would take Zhou Qi far too long to fully heal them alone. It would be better to transport them all to Blizzard City and entrust them to a professional medical team. But mentioning Blizzard City, Fatty Su walked over and gave a subtle nod toward the side. Zhang Yi turned his head and saw the girl with thick, jet-black hair like seaweed standing motionless in the snow. She seemed emotionless, standing alone after completing her task, not greeting anyone. Yet upon recognizing her familiar face, Fatty Su and the others instinctively felt their guard rise. After all, they had nearly been driven to the brink of destruction by this woman. And the entire population of Tianhai City had almost been wiped out because of her. Nothing to be surprised about. I knew this day would come. Zhang Yi remarked indifferently, showing no concern over Zhu Yu's appearance. He smiled faintly at Fatty Su and the others. You must allow Zhu Jing to have his own trump card, right? The question remained whether Zhu Jing truly understood who held the trump card and who played second fiddle. Zhang Yi utilized his abilities to gather all the injured from around Tianhai City. He had Zhou Qi and other medical-type mutants provide them with initial treatment. Those with minor injuries were to remain in Tianhai City for the time being. The severely injured, along with important figures from various regions and nations, were transported en masse to Blizzard City for the highest level of medical care. That day, Blizzard City was unusually bustling. Zhu Jing personally greeted everyone with warm hospitality and actively coordinated the medical teams. After completing these arrangements, he specifically came to meet with Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi, we owe this entire operation to you. Your contributions to Huaxu Kingdom and the Jiangnan region will forever remain in my heart. Zhu Jing spoke with genuine sincerity. Zhang Yi turned to look at Zhu Jing and smiled. It's nothing. It was simply my duty. I never expected Commander Zhu to have such a hidden trump card up his sleeve. Experience truly is a valuable asset. Zhang Yi gave Zhu Jing a thumbs up. Zhu Jing chuckled. He was one of the biggest winners this time. He had concealed Zhu Yu as his trump card, waiting until the battles across all fronts were nearly concluded before unleashing her. This move instantly absorbed vast quantities of high-level mutants' origin and abilities. Zhu Yu had feasted to her heart's content, her current strength now elevated to an extraordinary level. However, she wasn't foolish enough to flaunt her power before Zhang Yi just yet. After all, he had witnessed the full extent of Zhang Yi's power. This time, Zhu Yu's gains were substantial, but Zhang Yi's were even greater. That Black Bishop-level origin was still firmly in his grasp. Ah, I had no choice. You know, Blizzard City has never had an Epsilon-level mutant. That's detrimental to the city's security. We can't keep troubling you either. That's why I cultivated Zhu Yu. Zhang Yi, you should understand my position, right? Zhang Yi sneered inwardly, his expression remaining calm as he replied, of course. All of this is Commander Zhu's prerogative. I have no interest in it. Because, fundamentally, Zhang Yi had never believed Zhu Jing would ever be completely open with him. From the very first day he met Zhu, Zhang Yi had anticipated this day would come. But what could he do about it now? Back when he was still only a Delta-level mutant in Tianhai City, he had already been capable of killing an Epsilon-level Zhu. How much more so now? By the way, has Zhu been given a codename yet? Zhang Yi asked casually. Zhu Jing nodded cheerfully. It's been decided. All codenames for mutants in the Jiangnan region are now benchmarked against yours. No one else can surpass that. So the codename we've assigned Zhu is Nuba. Hearing this codename, Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes slightly. Nuba? The drought goddess. Indeed, a fitting codename. In mythology, Nuba was the daughter of the Yellow Emperor who, after death, was reborn as one of the original ancestors of zombies. This aligned perfectly with Zhu's identity. Whatever you like. It's just a codename anyway. Zhang Yi waved his hand dismissively. He couldn't be bothered to argue further with Zhu Zheng. After all, once matters here were settled, he still needed to rush back to rebuild Tianhai City. That battle had claimed countless lives in Tianhai City. The entire Chaoyu base had been dug up from deep within the earth and then hurled into the ocean to be swallowed by the waves. Though residents from the other two regions had evacuated upon receiving warnings, the lingering aftermath of the battle would likely claim many more lives. Now that the war had ended, it was time to regroup and call back the displaced refugees. Zhu Jing quickly addressed Zhang Yi. Oh, right. Tianhai City suffered immense devastation during the conflict. If you need any assistance from our region, just ask. Zhang Yi considered this and replied, I have significant gaps in both supplies and manpower. Zhu Jing hastened to assure him, rest assured on that front. Just ask, and Blizzard City's warehouses will open their doors to you anytime. As for manpower, Blizzard City now employs 1 million workers, ready to serve your command at any moment. Over the past 3 years of the apocalypse, Blizzard City had become the safest city in all of Huashu Kingdom, largely due to Zhang Yi's protection. Its population had grown to 5 million, and it maintained a policy of almost no idle hands. Except for the families of a small number of high-ranking officials, everyone else was required to engage in labor. Full-time soldiers alone numbered over 1 million, with the remainder comprising skilled technicians and general laborers. Zhang Yi nodded. I'll return first to assess Tianhai City's losses, then come back to request personnel and supplies. By the way, have you figured out how to explain this to the other regions? A mocking smile played on Zhang Yi's face. While other regions fought tooth and nail, their Jiangnan region secretly harbored an Epsilon-level mutant who emerged at the critical moment to reap the rewards. Such behavior might be overlooked during wartime. But once the war ended, no region would likely let Zhu Jing off easily. Zhu Zheng's brow furrowed slightly, a meaningful bitter smile appearing on his face. We will find ways to compensate them for all losses. Zhu Jing knew full well his actions were underhanded. But now that Zhu had proven his worth, Blizzard City would possess elite combat strength henceforth. They would no longer need to kowtow to others, like Zhang Yi. Zhu Jing walked with his back straight. Considering the gains, sacrificing a bit of his reputation seemed a minor price to pay. The matter was settled. Other districts had no recourse but to offer resources as compensation. Zhang Yi immediately returned to Tianhai City. His colossal Tianhai City fortress had been restored to its original position, appearing unchanged from before. Zhang Yi did not return home to his waiting family. Instead, he sat atop the fortress's lofty dome, his gaze fixed on the vast ocean stretching into the distance. The Hades gatekeeper had fled, thoroughly routed by the White Dragon. The entire Wuluan Empire force, save for him, had been annihilated this time. After this battle, the Hades gatekeeper would lack the courage to set foot in this place again for the foreseeable future. Zhang Yi had heard their conversation at the time. It became clear that neither the Wuluan Empire nor the underground civilization of the White Dragon were aware of each other's existence. This planted a seed of doubt in his mind. Both were top-level underground civilizations. If they had once been rulers of the planet in ancient times, why were they unaware of each other? And in this world, How many more like them existed? Where did they come from, and what forced them to hide underground? Zhang Yi's mind was in turmoil, and a bold conjecture slowly took shape within him. If even beings of the level of the White Dragon and the Hades Gatekeeper couldn't remain on the surface for long, could it mean that the true world-ending catastrophe hadn't truly arrived yet? The battle at Huashu Kingdom has finally concluded. This conflict has been closely observed by the world's major transcendent powers. This war has fundamentally reshaped everyone's worldview. The formidable strength displayed by the Hades Gatekeeper and the White Dragon has plunged them into profound crisis. Even the world's most formidable powers, when measured against this standard, realized their current strength was insufficient to dominate this planet. No single nation or faction could withstand a single, fully mobilized assault by the Wuluan Empire's supernatural forces. This time, had the White Dragon not intervened, no one in Huashu Kingdom could have stopped the terrifying Hades Gatekeeper. No wonder, at the battle's outset, the silver armor had boasted that the outcome was already decided, that humanity held no hope of victory. Columbia, Franklin State, Vale District. In a vast laboratory, dimly lit, hundreds of screens floated in the air, displaying footage from various battlefields across Huashu Kingdom. An elderly man in a white lab coat stared with dead fish eyes, his gaze darting wildly across the 100 screens. His expression was intensely serious, though considering the wine bottle dangling from his hand and the drool smeared across his lips, it was hard to believe this was a meticulous scientist. His lab coat hung oversized, trailing several slender tubes that connected to a massive vessel at the laboratory's center. The vessel resembled a brain, divided into left and right hemispheres, densely covered with countless green, transparent containers. But upon closer inspection, one would be stunned to discover these containers actually held living, breathing brains. These underground creatures are indeed formidable. Humanity's current technological level is utterly inadequate to counter them. Who knows how many more of these lurk underground? Burp. In any case, we must devise a way to deal with them. Weapons? Or mutant? We must pursue both avenues simultaneously. Weapons rely too heavily on science, and human tech advances too slowly. Cultivating mutants? The cost would be too heavy. The doctor muttered to himself in the lab, occasionally proposing an idea only to abruptly contradict himself the next moment. Just then, the lab doors swung open. A figure, no, more accurately, a creature, entered from outside. A white Labrador. It didn't come in on all fours, but walked in on its hind legs like a human. The professor turned with a sour expression. "Hey, who's the jerk coming to bother me?" The white dog spread its paws innocently. "Hello, Professor Da Vinci. It's me, Brian. I wanted to ask, did you see that battle just now? It was truly terrifying. I'm worried now. If such a war were to break out in our country, could we even withstand it?" This professor was none other than Da Vinci, the chief scientist of the Colombian Natural Science Association. After hearing Griffin's words, Da Vinci replied with a displeased expression, "Based on the current situation, no human nation possesses the qualifications to stand against the powerful underground civilizations." Hick. I mean, those formidable underground civilizations. These underground civilizations don't seem to have any particularly necessary connections, and there are significant disparities in strength between them. Perhaps some of them are even weaker than humanity. So if we ever face such a situation, we'd best pray our enemies aren't too powerful. Brian Griffin strode over excitedly, spreading his two front paws as he addressed Professor Da Vinci, "But we must find a way to protect our country. Professor Da Vinci, you should use your abilities, like developing more powerful weapons or drugs that make the mutants stronger." Professor Da Vinci took a large gulp of his drink and shot Griffin a displeased glance. "Easy for you to say. If you're so capable, why don't you do it yourself?" "Well, I thought that was the kind of work for scientists like you." Pfft. Professor Da Vinci spat viciously on the floor, his hands tapping rapidly on the screen. "You filthy dog spouting all this moral nonsense, yet you only know how to order others around. I'm not some armchair theorist like you. In fact, I'm on the verge of cracking the code of human genetics. Griffin's eyes lit up like light bulbs. He bounded over to Professor Da Vinci, landing on all fours, wagging his tail so vigorously it nearly became a fan. "Hey, buddy, I knew you could do it." Da Vinci pulled up a long string of complex data that formed a massive double helix structure on the screen. Those underground civilizations that survive to this day all seem to have mastered the technology to create the divine source. Theoretically, humans should be able to produce it too. But his gaze fixed on the screen, his expression growing grave. "It seems we discovered this far too late. And the price we'd have to pay for such an endeavor would be immense." On a snowstorm-shrouded island in Euro, night had fallen, signaling daytime on the opposite side of the planet in Huashu Kingdom. After hours of combat, the high-ranking officials of every faction on this planet felt as though a week had passed. Montesquieu, chairman of the pupil organization, sipped his hand-ground coffee while reviewing the various battle reports his subordinates had relayed. These included precious satellite imagery and materials accessible only to high-ranking officials. Montesquieu sighed deeply. This world is unfolding precisely as we anticipated. Yet, though we foresaw a gap in strength between humanity and those mysterious entities, I never imagined it would be this vast. The king's servant, Mildred Bratt spoke respectfully. "Is our very existence not meant to alter this unspeakable outcome?" Montesquieu nodded. "To achieve our goal, we must have 4 knights capable of standing alone, possessing unwavering resolve and formidable strength, to lead us out of the darkness." His right hand tapped the armrest of his chair. "Based on this investigation, the 2 most promising candidates from the Huashu Kingdom to become the 4 Horsemen of the Dawn are Ho-Tu and Chaos. Which one do you think is more suitable as a knight?" Bratt heard the question and propped his chin on his hand, deep in thought for a long while. Only then did he answer cautiously, "It's hard to say at this point. Both individuals possess exceptional abilities. But if I must choose, I'd say Chaos is the better option." Montesquieu shot him an inquiring look, wanting to know the reasoning behind Bratt's conclusion. Bratt explained, "According to our intelligence, Ho-Tu has made contact with the ancient civilization beneath the Qinling Mountain. The recent appearance of that white-haired youth offers some clues. This does not bode well for our future operations. Moreover, in terms of ability, I also lean toward Chaos. His powers are more fluid, and his approach carries a cautious edge tinged with a hint of madness. That is precisely what we require." Bratt smiled faintly. Perhaps even he himself isn't aware of this. Montesquieu fell silent for a moment before saying, "We must continue observing this matter. After all, Chaos still harbors significant conflict with our 4 Horsemen of the Dawn. Moreover, the criteria for the 4 Horsemen extend beyond mere strength. We must continue to evaluate him as a person." Bratt nodded. "You are correct." Montesquieu mentioned the 4 Horsemen of the Dawn, and his thoughts inevitably turned to that exceptionally heroic man. He inquired, "What is King Arthur doing now?" The Huashu Kingdom should have sent letters requesting aid to Britannia and other nations. Yet the Knights of the Round Table have made no move whatsoever. This is uncharacteristic of their usual conduct. Bratt replied, "A month ago, they departed for Atlantis. It's said they've discovered the ruins of an ancient palace and are about to enter the 2nd layer of the deep sea." A trace of emotion flickered across Montesquieu's face. "If they achieve anything in the 2nd layer, it's unimaginable how powerful they'll become upon their return. If this planet is a house, then humanity is like the cockroaches infesting it. Our lives are fragile beyond measure, yet we possess a resilience that strikes fear into every other species. You may wipe us out time and again, but we always preserve our seeds. When we reappear, we shall be stronger. May the day soon come when humanity's most exceptional beings can withstand the calamity that threatens to destroy the world." As Montesquieu reflected, Bratt activated the smart device on his wrist, instantly projecting a vast blue screen before him. The world today is rife with unrest. Everywhere, either unexplained incidents occur, or in regions without dominant powers, endless wars erupt. The Nordic lands are already embroiled in fierce conflict, with numerous mutants mobilized over underground ruins. The Holy Roman Empire shows signs of revival. Prussia recently produced a war-obsessed madman, a failed art student who awakened formidable powers. Even Gaul stirs with restless ambition. In the eastern reaches of the Kingdom of Kermit, a black-robed mutant rallied religious followers under the banner of reviving the one god, establishing the Kutan Empire to challenge the status quo. In Central Asia, the Babylonian kingdom of Mesopotamia has been resurrected from the dust of history. Bratt methodically reported the current upheavals across the world. The world source was not singular. While the turmoil near Huashu Kingdom drew attention, regional powerhouses were emerging across its corners, each forging their own legacy. Montesquieu's brow furrowed and relaxed intermittently. If possible, these individuals could all become our knights in the future. To battle the minions of the dark gods, we must rally the strength of more and more people across this world. Though this is destined to be a long and arduous process, Montesquieu emphasized. The next day, Zhang Yi was sitting on the couch next to Zhou Qier and Yang Xie, staring blankly in front of him. In his mind, however, thoughts of Tianhai City's reconstruction work began to surface involuntarily. The Wuluan Empire had destroyed Tianhai City, but now that he thought about it, it wasn't entirely a bad thing. After all, even before that, Tianhai City's infrastructure had long been abandoned. Abandoned buildings stood empty and uninhabited. Tianhai City never needed so much space anyway. This presented a perfect opportunity to build a new Tianhai City centered around the shelter. As Zhang Yi pondered, Zhou Qier and Yang Xie seemed to sense something. Seeing the man deep in thought, both of them couldn't help but smile. As women, surviving the apocalypse alongside a man capable of protecting them and showering them with care was an extraordinary blessing. The longer they spent with Zhang Yi, the deeper their affection for him grew. It seemed the dynamic between men and women always followed this pattern. Women would become increasingly immersed in a relationship, growing more dependent on the man the longer they were together. In the past, both had found Zhang Yi overly cold, even a little heartless. But as time passed, they discovered the tender side hidden within him. He simply reserved all his gentleness for those close to him, while offering no warmth to outsiders. "Zhang Yi, what are you thinking about?" Zhou Qier asked with a playful smile. I'm thinking about many things." Zhang Yi sighed. "Though the Wuluan Empire's invasion has been repelled, granting us temporary safety, I can't shake the feeling that greater troubles lie ahead." Why is that?" Yang Xie and Zhou Qier looked at Zhang Yi in confusion. Zhang Yi's mind drifted to the divine nest sun god, struck dead by thunder, and to the Hades gatekeeper and the white dragon who had appeared this time. His brow furrowed slightly. It seems the restraints are slowly being lifted. Though the Hades gatekeeper and the white dragon had appeared for only a brief time, the power they displayed was nothing short of earth-shattering. Yet that mysterious divine punishment had not materialized. Zhang Yi knew full well that mysterious civilizations undoubtedly still existed in this world. They simply hadn't revealed themselves yet, or hadn't been discovered by humanity. But during that battle, they were surely watching from the shadows. If they sensed the constraints this world imposed upon them weakening, might it be possible that more underground civilizations would begin attempting to surface, vying with humanity for territory above ground? Zhang Yi dared not delve too deeply into such thoughts, yet he always preferred preparing for the worst-case scenario. Now was still no time for complacency. As Zhang Yi pondered, the intelligent system's voice chimed in, "Master, there is a message from Meng Yuanjun of the Xinjiang region." Zhang Yi immediately retrieved the message. Upon closer inspection, it was a notice convening a meeting of high-ranking officials from major districts like Meng Yuanjun and the coalition forces leaders to discuss the division of post-war spoils. The main items included the corpses of the Wuluan clan, their weapons and equipment, and most crucially, the Epsilon-level mutant origin. The thought of this brought a faint smile to Zhang Yi's lips. How would Zhu Jing handle this? That would be truly interesting. Once dressed, Zhang Yi went straight to the side room and joined the meeting.